Rockhopper here, and I'm at the Yukon border in Canada's far north. Join me and let's explore one of the wildest places left on Earth. This is Contact Creek, where the Alaska Highway was officially completed. What happened here was in September 24th of 1942, the soldiers building the road from the north met with the soldiers building the road from the south, the Alaska Highway, and it was completed in under 7 months, which is pretty amazing. The Alaska Highway was open to civilian travel in 1946. There's a little place here where you can get gas. Here at Contact Creek, you can find a friendly little dog on the porch. Hello. Hello. How's life here in the Yukon? Well, it looks like it's treating you pretty well. I don't think you want to get welding or tires here, however, anymore. We're on the Alaska Highway, and we're heading toward Watson Lake, which is in the Yukon, and then we'll probably head up toward Alaska, where the wild things are now, in the Yukon Territory. Just up the road from Contact Creek is Iron Creek, but I don't think this motel's open any longer, or it may be, it's hard to say. Yeah, this is what's left out here. Okay, I think we got our answer. Yeah, I don't think those gas pumps have been used for a while. Old satellite dishes for planters. That's what it looks like. That's pretty creative. Just had a motorcycle and a car flashing their lights at me, and now, oh yeah, wow. Now I see why. Wow, wow, wow. Look at all these bison. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Look at that little baby bison. Look at that little baby bison in the grass there with mama. Look how cute. Oh, so cute. Hey little baby. How you doing, baby? Mama's just chilling. Look at all these guys just lounging right beside the road. Do these guys have wings? Buffalo wings? There's a whole herd here. And this guy's right up by the car. Hello. Well, check this dude out. He's just right here. I mean, he's right here. Can't even fit you in the frame. I've only been in the Yukon less than an hour, and already it is not disappointing. Road bison. I just came down here, just right off the highway, just to look at this little pond here and the little beaver dam. And both myself and the black bear that was right here were quite startled because we didn't see each other at first. Yeah, he was right there. You can probably see the marks in the grass there, and he went running off through the water and into the woods. And from right here near the beaver pond, another bison. There's the beaver pond. Wow, bear, bison, and maybe beaver all within about a half a square mile. Welcome to the 60th parallel. Water freezes almost instantly at -40. That's how far north we are. The 60th parallel makes up Yukon's southern border. The lands north of the 60th parallel make up more than 40% of Canada's landmass. Here's another historic milepost just south and east of Watson Lake. Watson Lake welcomes you. Business may not have been hopping for this company right here. Looks like they are out of business. Cute little old log cabin there, just off the highway. From Fort Nelson, the last place where I filled up completely as much as I possibly could, to here, Watson Lake, about 355 miles, and probably about 25 to 30 miles of that was just puttering around, going off little dirt roads and exploring. Quick look at Watson Lake. You got your hotel there, at your grocery store. Over there, 18 Celsius today, not too bad. Looks like that was a gift shop at one time. Old log cabin. The Northern Lights Center, where you can learn about Northern Lights and see a presentation. Welcome to the Signpost Forest. It's pretty famous. People come from all over the world to put signs up of whatever they want, probably something from home. And let's have a look around this place. When somebody says, show me a sign, well, bring them here. It's got lots and lots and lots of signs. Stroll through here and see if somebody's brought a sign from your hometown. I know where those are. The Signpost Forest is Watson Lake's most famous attraction and one of the most famous landmarks along the Alaska Highway. A homesick GI, Carl K. Lindley, was assigned light duty in 1942 while recovering from an injury. A simple signpost pointing out the distances to various points along the tote road being built was damaged by a bulldozer. A commanding officer asked Lindley to repair and erect the directional signposts, and while completing the job, he added a sign that indicated the direction and mileage to his hometown, Danville, Illinois, 2,835 miles away. Others followed suit, and the trend caught on. Today, there are over 100,000 signs. In 1942, there was no town site here as there is today, but a military airbase and airport on Watson Lake. A time capsule and cairn was placed at the Signpost Forest in 1992 and will be opened again in 2042. There's even an old fire truck here. Somebody's from Dublin. Ohio, that is. There's your sign. Find the sign that represents you. Here at Watson Lake, there are a couple of lakes. This one is Y Lake, to which I say, why not Lake? Why not? The other one, Watson, is bigger. There's a good little Yukon scene. The old garage with the old truck. Say goodbye to the Sign Forest and Watson Lake. That is a big sign forest, eh? 445 kilometers to Whitehorse. Crossing the Liard River. Looks like that place is called Nugget City. Retiring for sale. Hey, if you want to buy a place, it's for sale. You can see the road way off in the distance. I just saw some lightning, quite a big flash, so we could be in for some weather ahead here. Looking kind of dark in that sky. Yep, we're hitting bad weather. Made it through that little cloud burst, which was not little, that was several miles. And, weather can change really fast here in the Yukon. That's just a fact of life. Maybe it'll help clear the smoke out. Maybe it'll help put the fires out. The problem is with that lightning, it could actually start more fires. I just saw a sign that said, drive with headlights on at all times, required by law. Well, I have my headlights on because of the storm, but I didn't know that. That's a splendid and somewhat surreal view. This is Rancheria. Closed for the season? I think they might mean closed forever. A Rancheria. I think this place is pretty closed down. What do you think? Mile 710 of the Alaska Highway. No kids playing on that swing set. This place might have run out of gas a long time ago, but there are people living here as evidenced by the dog that came barking at my car. A little about Rancheria. You can still get information at the information center here if you walk on in. There's a bunch of brochures, but they are all pretty faded. Just look for the broken down Subaru to find the information center. One of the surprising things I thought about southern Yukon was you go down these little roads and they end up at gates and cables across them. And you'd think in the Yukon, hey, you could pretty much camp anywhere, but boondocking was actually harder than you think. Rancheria Falls. Look at all the mosquitoes just waiting for me. Won't you come out and play? First night in the Yukon, I'll throw some pasta on and add some Madras lentils to the mix. And as far as I know, there's no fire ban here. So I've got a fire going. Just all covered up, you know, to protect myself from the mosquitoes and black flies and whatever else is out here wanting to bite me. I'll throw some fireweed and dandelion in there. Madras lentils, pasta, fireweed, and dandelion. Bon appetit. Good morning. Mosquito morning. No surprise there. You've got to be pretty fast if you want to go to the bathroom out here. You don't want to linger too long or you're going to have a whole lot of welts on your backside because it's going to be flashing like a lighthouse to those little mosquitoes saying free blood buffet. Come and get it. Well, look at that. Somebody constructed an outhouse of sorts not far from my camp. Also not far from my camp is the Porcupine River. If you're a fisherman, you might cast for some Arctic grayling out here. I camped out in the open last night because I didn't want to be in the bush so much because it seemed like there were just a lot more mosquitoes, and if I was out in the open, there was more breeze to help keep them away. I'll be giving you a few tips on dealing with bears throughout this video. So keep watching. As far as mosquitoes go, I find that wearing thick clothing, as long as it's not too hot, is one of the most effective ways to repel them. They can't get through, can't bite. And I wear these really baggy pants. They're, very baggy, so they really can't get to me. Of course, you can put repellent on you, but if you're wearing a lot of clothing like this, just put repellent on your hands and your face, and that should be sufficient. I was wearing shorts yesterday and a short sleeve shirt because it was nice and warm in the 70s. I probably have about 17 bites yesterday. I just got 3 bites this morning on my hands because I didn't put any repellent on them. Another one bites the dust. This was where I camped, parked for the night last night. Out in the open a little more, get more breeze, and my thought was to get less mosquitoes. I don't know if that worked, but seemed like a logical thing to do. We're heading out to the open road, heading north, well, heading west at the moment. They call this the Continental Divide. Another little spot in the road, place where you can get some gas, maybe something to eat. Yeah, a little tiny motel there. It's got a restaurant. There's a phone here. Looks like we're dipping back down into BC. Caution moose next 25 Ks. There's a sign here talking about fire and how they don't extinguish the fires. They let them burn because they are a natural occurrence and they have regenerative values to the forest. You can see the fire in 1950, 1958, and 1971. Then you see the fire in 2004, and it's larger than all the other fires combined. They only intervene if there's a threat to people or property or infrastructure. I just saw a sign that said we're leaving British Columbia, so we are back in the Yukon. There are plenty of lakes up here in the Yukon, and many people like to go fishing for Arctic grayling, northern pike, and lake trout. Just give me this on 5,000 acres with a view like that. That's all I really need. The rain continues. Down below, by the river, is the town of Teslin. Let's head across this bridge. Have a look out at the river there. It's a big river. I think it's as big as the Mississippi. Yukon motel and restaurant. You can get gas here too. There's your post office for Teslin. There's a wildlife museum here in Teslin if you want to come in and check it out. It's just by the restaurant there. And they've got a few displays as well as the masks carved by First Nations people. Maybe I'll see one of these polar bears while I'm way up top, up Tuktoyaktuk way, if I head up there. It's not likely I'll see a lynx either, but you never know. And where are the caribou? Come on, I want to see some caribou. I did see a lot of these guys though. Still waiting to spot a grizzly too. Still looking for one of these too. Where's Mr. Wolverine? Gas, motel, and general store. That pretty much does it. Along with that across the road for Teslin. Big river, big bridge, small town. Spoke too soon. There is this museum here. And look at that raven go. You can check out the museum here, George Johnston Museum. And they've got a lot of cool things you can see. This is George Johnston, and he is who the museum is named after. He was a photographer of First Nations people from about 1910 to through the 1950s. And here in Teslin, you'll find this is one of the few inland Tlingit communities. Now this might be referred to as a mutant moose, but it's actually called a Paruke moose. And don't forget to check out my Deer from Outer Space, and you'll see what happens in the mule deer. There's your Tlingit word for thank you. Some traditional artwork there. Totem poles of the Tlingit community. Looks like that might be wolf. Probably beaver on that one. Maybe frog for that one, eh? Maybe raven for that. You think this one might be eagle? This is Teslin Lake out here. Lucky I turned up this road. Happened to be some World War II era trucks just used as decor for our little rest area. These trucks are leftovers from the Canol Road back in World War II days. There are long distances up here from one place to the next, and no services along the way, and it's not easy to get there. Just past the Teslin River, the Johnson Crossing Historical Site. We'll have a look. Motel and a place to get gas. A couple old looking trucks. Johnson's Crossing is at mile 836. Looks like that truck's been parked there quite a while. Squonga Lake. You could pretty much have it all to yourself. And there's a campground here. I had to pull over to have a look at these. These are some pretty rugged escarpments. Driving along quite a large lake outside of Whitehorse to the east. We're arriving in Whitehorse. We just got off the highway there. It's not far behind us. And we're just gonna go up, wander up through here, and see if we can find a place, park it for the evening. I think I found something that'll work. I kind of have a sixth sense about finding places, so let's go up this little road here, weave on through the edge of the woods here, and I think we're going to find something okay, suitable, even though I am sort of technically within the Whitehorse city area. So let's check it out. Okay, so this is a little bit weird. But, it looks like, I don't know what this thing was. This is like some kind of big oval. Maybe it was a motocross racetrack or something of that nature at one time. Couldn't really tell you. There's like a wall over there. Some tires. I think this will work just fine. Doesn't seem to be anybody around. And I'm far enough from the highway, it's not too terribly noisy. That's my nearest neighbor. He liked this place so much he completely flipped over it. Maybe this was like a demolition derby track or something. What are these bugs? Are they some sort of biting fly, black fly, gnat? I mean, there's tons of them around here. They do tend to land on me. I met a guy who was out here walking his dog. He was surprised that I was here. I was surprised to see him. It turns out he lives in a house just up there, not too far away. I said, hey, is it okay to be here? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. It's just Might want to be careful because there are a couple of bears here, and they didn't get a lot of rain this year, so they are pretty hungry and they might be a little more inquisitive toward food than usual. So let me tell you some stuff about bears. One thing is, it's suggested that you put all your stuff in the car, and if you have anything smelly like shampoo, soap, deodorant, toothpaste, wrap it in a bag and then put it inside, keep it inside the car to minimize the possibility of bears getting curious and interested by the smell of those items. So don't put your stuff in your tent. Keep it inside the car. Keep the windows all closed and everything sealed good, and that'll minimize attracting bears. If you are tent camping, make sure you have rope so you can tie your food in a bag if you don't have one of those bear-proof containers. And hoist on the end of that rope, hoist it up by hooking the rope over a tree branch, and get that food up, the higher the better. I'll tell you a little bit more about bears and interacting with them soon. Good morning. Bear morning. There was a bear here last night, I'm pretty sure. A large animal of some sort right beside the car. I didn't see it, but there's evidence right down here. See where that fireweed is trampled down? It wasn't like that last night. And over here as well. There was a small pouch that I forgot to throw in the car. It was just a little food pouch. There was really nothing in it, but I'm sure the bear probably smelled it, as it's not there anymore. And he probably grabbed it and took it, ran off with it. Look at that. So there it is. I'll throw that in the trash. Yeah, it's about 30 yards from the car. So, yeah, I think the bear got it. Was checking it out. It was a foggy morning as I drove into Whitehorse. Visibility was very limited. I've barely gotten started and already I'm distracted. Here at Miles Canyon, and you can see why. You can see that that water has a beautiful color to it. And check out this cool suspension bridge crossing the gorge here. This is a basaltic canyon. And here's a view from above. This is Andrew with the Yukon Conservation Society, and he gives free tours here, and he's going to tell us a couple things you might not know.
Yeah, so some of the things we talk a little bit about on the tour. One of the things is about how the saloon operators would try to, I guess, get the most gold out of the miners. One of the things they would do is they try to grow their nails as long as possible and grow their hair out. Then they take like pomade hair product, slick their hair back, and then when the miners were coming along trading in gold, they would try to get some of those gold flakes caught between their nails. That way when they ran their hands through their hair, those gold flakes would get caught up there. At the end of the night, they could come along, rinse their hair out, and they'd be able to pull that gold out after that. Another interesting thing they do is for the saloons, they would purposely build the floorboards so they're sort of slightly apart. So that way, if you have a miner sort of drunk, stumbling around, and you bump into him, he'll drop his gold, it'd fall between the cracks, and then obviously he wouldn't be able to reach down and grab it, but in the end you'd be able to pry the floorboards open and reach down and then pull out that gold like that as well. So what we've heard is that one of Donald Trump's, either his grandfather or his great-grandfather, actually owned and operated a brothel in Dawson City where they got a lot of their fortune out of as well. That's what I've heard. I believe Frederick Trump is his name as well.
So they got a lot of their fortune from running saloons and brothels?
Yes, yeah, up in Dawson City during the time of the Klondike Gold Rush.
So if you're down here, check out what remains of Canyon City. It's not much. The taxis of the North Country. SS Klondike is the name of two sternwheelers, the second now a National Historic Site, located here in Whitehorse. The Klondike is one of Canada's few remaining steam-powered paddle wheelers. They ran freight between Whitehorse and Dawson City along the Yukon River, the first from 1929 to 1936, and the second, an almost exact replica of the first, from 1937 to 1950. The ship was donated to Parks Canada and was gradually restored until 1966, when city authorities agreed to move the ship to its present location. Coming into Whitehorse. Where are the white horses, you might ask? There's the white horses. Whitehorse is the capital and largest city in the Yukon with a population of about 34,000 people. It likes to call itself the Wilderness City. First Nations people inhabited this region for thousands of years before prospectors and settlers arrived. Legend says Whitehorse got its name when gold seekers thought Miles Canyon's wild rapids resembled the manes of charging white horses. The discovery of gold in the Klondike in 1896 set off a rush of newcomers, many arriving by boats traveling the rivers. Canyon City was established and became the hub of activity in the region. Steamship travelers arrived in droves and camped at what they called White Horse. Traders and prospectors referred to the settlement as Whitehorse, and the name stuck. Today, Whitehorse is a bustling town, a miniature Anchorage, Alaska of sorts. Just got some groceries here in Whitehorse at the Canadian Superstore. Whitehorse is growing like crazy, and most of the stuff they're building are things like this, so I see severe traffic problems in their future. Bad traffic is already here. And there were bad drivers. I was in the outer lane of double right turn lanes, and when I turned, I saw an oncoming car in my lane trying to get over to the correct lane, but was blocked by a bus in that lane. It was quick reaction on my part as I swerved to my right to avoid a head-on collision. And now it's time to gas up. Might as well fill it up. Distances are long here. Whitehorse was the highest price yet at $1.83 a liter. Forest fire on the Dempster? That doesn't sound good. It didn't take long for me to get tired of Whitehorse. It was a crowded, noisy place, blaring with sirens and laden with traffic from locals and tourists. I didn't need to come to the Yukon for that. I could see that in any city in the U.S. It felt like a culture shock after being in the wilderness and small towns for so long. Back into the rain. The emerald color in the water in these rivers is quite beautiful. Check it out, it's a beaver. This sign talks about Mendenhall Landing. Across from the river at Mendenhall are these old cabins. I just found something interesting. Come on, let me show you. So this is like a little wilderness hut that people can use. And the reason I know that is because I had a look around. Nice wood stove there, huh? Yeah, I had a look around and it was open. And I saw the guest book here. So I have seen these type of things before in Canada. And they are a nice little place. I think maybe I was going to head onward, but now I'm thinking, hey, why not just stay? Stay away from the mosquitoes. It's thunderstorming out there and raining, so why not just have a little touch of hominess here in the Canadian bush, out in the woods. I can sleep right there if I want to. Just hope I don't have mice running over the top of me in the night. Plenty of dishes down here if you need one. I'll also give this place a little bit of a sweep up. It's always good to leave the place a little better than you found it. Let's have a look inside here for just a sec. Well, this place is pretty dark. I don't think it's waterproof anymore. Big barrel stove there. And, hey, a candle. Yeah, we could probably take that into the hut and use that for a little light tonight, although may not even need it, but it might lend a little bit of ambiance. So this place probably hasn't been used for quite a few years. I found a calendar from 2009. I can just sit back here in this nice comfy chair in the hut and just relax, and hopefully it'll be mosquito free. If not, I'll have to hunt these little buggers down and smash them. Yeah, so I can just sit in here and listen to the sound of the falling rain and listen to the thunder. I don't know if you can hear any of that, but pretty peaceful out here. It's kind of nice. It's a totally unexpected find, and a nice one at that. I may not need that one candle at all. Look what I just found in here. There's a whole string of candles to light. Brought my little stove in and cooked on it. I'm here at the bush bistro, and while the food is rather plain, the ambiance is marvelous. I brought my sheets and pillow in, and I'll have a nice bed for the night, a little more room to stretch out than my SUV. Good morning. Misty morning. Some books here and reading material. Have a look at this. When I pulled the Canadian Reader's Digest off the shelf, started thumbing through it, I realized, oh hey, I know this guy. Back in the day, we were both on a radio interview together down in San Diego, and Brian Taylor was the interviewer for NPR. I had just completed my world's first adventure in extreme backpacking, and Rick was just a couple months into the start of his adventure wheelchairing around the world. So Rick and I were talking to each other and about our trips, and Brian was interviewing the both of us. Rick was out to help raise awareness for people with spinal cord injuries and also help those with disabilities. Rick went on to complete his Man in Motion tour, and Brian and I became friends. So Brian Taylor or Rick Hansen, if you happen to see this, give me a shout out. Write me something in the comments and say hi. It was nice having a mosquito and mouse-free place for the night. Here's the outhouse out behind the place. And if you've ever wondered why you see these foam pads, it's because it gets down to -40 to help insulate and keep your backside warm. Time to say goodbye to the little cabin and hit the road. Last night I spotted something on the top of the hill, but I couldn't make out what it was, and I thought it could be a First Nations cemetery. And I think that's what I've just found. Some of the graves look like they might be quite old, while some of them are fairly recent, like the one down below. Rest in peace, brothers and sisters. There's some confirmation. First Nations indeed. Mile 960, Alaska Highway. That's the road I often take. These signs talk about the First Nations people. This is the traditional territory of the Champagne and Aishihik First Nations people. Coming up in part 2, we travel down a forgotten piece of the original Alaska Highway, venture onto First Nations land, discover a hubcap forest, meet an artist painting traditional native designs, see the settlements and abandoned places along the way to Alaska, and much more. And what's that strange creature coming right toward me? Is it a bear? A wolverine? Find out in part 2. I hope you enjoyed exploring the wild and woolly Yukon Territory in Canada's far north with me. I'll have more coming up on the Yukon. Don't forget to give me a like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, this is the Rockhopper. I'll see ya.